What if waste wasn't really an endpoint, but actually a new beginning? Today, we're going to explore what it means to close resource flows, a really core idea in the circular economy. And we're going to look at 4 real-world companies that are turning what we normally throw away into some amazing new value. Let's get into it.
So let's just start with this one question. What if a product having an end of life isn't just inevitable? What if it's actually a design flaw? Once you start thinking that way, it totally changes the game of how we make and use everything around us.
For the longest time, our economy has pretty much followed a straight line. We take resources, we make something, and then we create waste. The circular model, well, it flips that completely on its head. Instead of a dead end, it creates this continuous loop, always feeding resources right back into the system. The ultimate goal here? To design waste out of the picture, for good.
And that brings us right to our core concept for today: closing resource flows. Put simply, these are business models that are designed from the ground up to capture materials after we use them and loop them right back into production. So you get this continuous circular flow. But how does this actually look in the real world? Let's dive into our first example.
Okay, first up, we've got reuse. This is probably the most direct, the most straightforward way to close the loop. You just give a product a second life.
And the real beauty of reuse is just how simple it is. It's all about taking a product and putting it right back into service, exactly as it is. There's no complex processing, no breaking it down. You're just finding a new user for something that is still perfectly good. A perfect example of this is Patagonia's Worn Wear program. It's brilliant. Customers can trade in their used gear and they get credit for it. Patagonia then takes that gear, cleans it up, makes any needed repairs, and resells it. By doing this, they're not only making their products last way longer, but they're also controlling their own high-end secondhand market, which, by the way, builds incredible customer loyalty.
Okay, next, let's get into something a little more complex. This is called industrial symbiosis. And this is where you see different industries collaborating to create these really powerful circular loops.
The whole idea here is actually inspired by nature. I mean, think about it. In any ecosystem, one organism's waste is another one's food, right? Well, industrial symbiosis just applies that same logic to business. One company's byproduct becomes another company's valuable raw material. No waste.
A fantastic example of this is the partnership between Timberland and the tire maker Omni United. Now, what's so cool here is they didn't just decide to recycle some old tires. No, they went a huge step further. They actually co-designed a new tire, specifically so it could become shoe soles after its life on the road was over. I mean, that is just a masterclass in designing for a product's next life, right from the very beginning.
Our third model is a real industrial powerhouse. It's called remanufacturing, and it's this amazing process that takes something old and makes it like new.
Now, it's really important to understand that this is not just a simple repair job. Not at all. Remanufacturing is a standardized, factory-based process. Products are totally disassembled, cleaned, inspected, and then rebuilt with new or repaired parts, all to meet the original factory specifications.
And honestly, nobody does this at scale quite like Caterpillar. Their CAT Reman program has been around since 1973. Yeah, 1973. They take these massive, worn-out components from giant earth-moving equipment and restore them to perfect working order. The results of this program, well, they're just staggering.
First off, the energy savings. Remanufacturing one of these components uses 80% less energy than creating a brand new one from scratch. 80%. That's huge.
And if you thought that was impressive, get this. The water savings are even crazier. We're talking a massive 88% reduction compared to making a new part.
And for the customer, well, these like-new parts are 30 to 50% cheaper than buying brand new. That's a huge cost saving without any compromise on the quality.
So here's the bottom line. These CAT Reman products, they come with the same warranty. They deliver the same exact performance as a brand new part. The only real difference is a much lower price and a vastly smaller environmental footprint. It is truly a win for the business, a win for the customer, and a big win for the planet.
All right, finally, let's look at our fourth model, recycling. But hold on, we're not just talking about your standard curbside recycling here. We're talking about creating a perfect closed loop.
So closed-loop recycling, which you might also hear called upcycling, is all about taking materials from used products and creating new products that are the same or maybe even higher quality. This helps us avoid downcycling, where every time you recycle something, the material loses a little bit of its value. The goal here is to keep that material value going pretty much indefinitely. A great example of this in the real world is HP's Planet Partners program. I mean, these guys have been doing this since 1991. It operates globally, taking back used ink and toner cartridges. HP then disassembles them, and they use those recovered materials to make brand new cartridges. And they are committed to this. 0 parts from this entire process ever end up in a landfill.
So if we kind of step back and look at all 4 of these examples, the reuse, the symbiosis, the remanufacturing, and the recycling, you start to see a really clear pattern emerge. It's like a 4-step dance. You collect the used product, you recover all its valuable materials, you restore them, and then you use them to create totally new value.
But here's the key takeaway from all of this. No single company can do this alone. True circularity is not a solo act. It absolutely requires a whole ecosystem of partners, suppliers, customers, sometimes even competitors, all working together to close these loops.
So let's end with a little challenge for you. Just look around your own life, your job, your community. What do you see that we all call waste, but is actually a resource just in disguise? Because finding the answer to that question could be the spark for the next great circular business idea. Thanks for joining us.